Nothing irritates me Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will now call to order the regular scheduled Apex Town Council meeting for Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 to order. And it's great to be back. I know we had a 1 month break, maybe, kind of, sort of. No, we didn't, okay. Nonetheless, we're here, we're glad to be here. It continues to be an honor to serve all of you. And with that said, we'll go ahead and move into the invocation. And as we continue to do the business of the town, it's important that we continue to work together, be in unity, and often take moments of peace. So we'll do a moment of peace tonight together. So if you would please join me. Thank you so much. If you're able, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you so much. We'll move now into the consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered routine to be enacted by one motion with the adoption of the consent agenda and without discussion. If a council member requests discussion of an item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. We have 17 items on the consent agenda tonight. It's presented before you, council. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Gray. Second, Killingsworth. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have the consent agenda approved. We'll move now into presentations. And tonight we have one presentation, Apex Outreach Service Project, celebrating 25 years of service and success. So we have some VIPs in the house tonight, so thank you for being here. It was an honor to attend your celebration a few weeks ago. So we'll join in tonight together, council, with a proclamation recognizing this awesome organization. So if you would please join me.
It's an honor to kick off this proclamation celebrating Apex Outreach Service Project for 25 years of service and success. Whereas the Apex Outreach Service Project, organized by Apex United Methodist Church, began in 1999 after the church youth ministry felt called to grow and expand a program which offered home repair services for residents across Wake County. And
whereas, over the course of the project's 25-year history, more than 250 homes have been repaired by thousands of middle school, high school, and college students that have volunteered their time to make the community a better place. And
whereas home repair projects have helped people within Apex and beyond, including Cary, Morrisville, Holly Springs, Fuquay-Varina, Raleigh, and Pittsboro, highlighting the wide range of impact this program has had. And whereas the project's central mission revolves around serving those in need within our community while offering a time of fellowship to grow in faith, an opportunity to build relationships, and a chance to learn life skills for the young people who will one day lead it.
Whereas the town of Apex commends the project and all of its participants over the past 25 years for the good work they've done for our town and for the community, and wish even more success for its future.
All right, now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of Apex, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 13th, 2024, a celebration of the Apex Outreach Service Project for 25 years of service and success, and express my appreciation for the major impact this project has had for residents of Apex and beyond. So if you would please join me to receive the proclamation. Then we have Pastor Laura Catherine Stern, and we have the GOAT, Tanner Johnson, and others. Come on up. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, somebody's got to come get a proclamation. I'm not the only one.
We got a 3, 2, 1. Okay. Right, one more. That's good for Mayor Pro Tem screwed up.
All right, thank you so much for everything you've done for the town in this project. So would you like to have a few words?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Pass this over to
Okay.
you. My name is Tanner Johnson. I get to be the youth pastor here at Apex United Methodist Church and be a part of AOSP. I've been a part of AOSP now for 4 years, and I'm always amazed of the heart and love for the neighbor. I think we often move past people's houses so quickly and forget who lives there. And so much of what AOSP does is taking a chance to pause and love thy neighbor in the way that God calls us to do. But more importantly to me, as someone who's been around AOSP a lot longer than I have, is Wally Jordan. So I'm going to give Wally Jordan a chance to speak about this.
Yeah, as Tanner said, I've been doing this now for 17 years, and the last 6 or 7, I've been in charge of pulling together the projects. So I'm the guy that goes out and meets the homeowners, determines which projects we think we can handle, draws up the budgets, comes up with the materials lists, and it's a big undertaking. And as was mentioned in the proclamation, over 250 separate homeowners. We've been to some places more than once. Over 1,000 volunteers over the 25 years. And I'm sure it will be quite a bit more because it has been growing. This year was 145 kids, and probably 220 volunteers. So it's been a big undertaking, and we look forward to doing it at least as long as I can continue to do it and beyond.
Good work. Okay, I have one more thing to present to you. So you did present tonight over 250 homes, but I'm also aware that you took care of a church here in Apex, Christian Home Church, the oldest church in Apex, 1865, and you guys went in and did some work in the church. So what we would like to do tonight is present to you a commemorative coin of the sesquicentennial, 150 years of Apex. So I want you to have one of these as well. There you go.
Very much. Hey, wait, gotta get these guys over here.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
Good job. Okay, we'll now move to setting of the regular meeting agenda, and we do have one add-on at closed session. Consult with attorney. Did I cover them all, Lord?
There's actually 2 of them, Mayor. One for new business item,
Okay,
number 1, and then add a second closed session
okay,
during the closed session.
all right. So with that noted, we'll go ahead and request for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve. Second. Second, Mahaffey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous, agenda set. We'll move now to public forum. This is an opportunity for the community members to speak. Please be mindful and respectful of the time that you have, and pay close attention to the series of lights. The green is go, yellow, 30 seconds left, and red begin to end your presentation. So get the list right, thank you. All right, the first presenter tonight is Elizabeth Stitt. So please give your name and address as well. Let me speak.
Elizabeth Ray Stitt, 3113 Friendship Road, and I do have more than 4 people with me tonight, so won't go 9 minutes, but I'll go more than 3. Mayor, Town Council, good evening. In the very near future, perhaps even tonight, you're going to go into a closed session to discuss the Big Branch Forest Main. That discussion will only have partial information, and you may be asked to make a decision based on incomplete data because we, the impacted property owners, are not allowed to participate. And as such, we're not able to help you understand our issues or even opportunities for alternatives. I have been told by several of the council that your lack of direct engagement with us may be in part due to a fear of a lawsuit. To be clear, it has been the town that has been promoting the use of litigation, not us in the community. It was the town who planned behind closed doors for at least 4 years to take our land and only notified us when the town was legally required to. We received a 30-day notice that you were going to come onto our properties and do field work. Since that time, that was April of 2022, and then in July of 2022, you had a work session where the town staff told you that condemnation was likely. And you voted to go forward with the current route on our properties, knowing that condemnation was the plan. Since that time, we property owners have been forced to take off time from our jobs. We use our vacation time to coordinate all of the different subcontractors that have come in and off of our property. It has not been without hardship. There's been no compensation, no empathy, no working with us. It has been a battle. But nonetheless, we keep showing up. And we keep showing up because we want to work with you, because there are other alternatives. But it's very hard to convince you of other alternatives when you're being told from the town staff that, this is what they want to do. So I did some conversations with prior council members and said, hey, in the past, I know about the lawsuit with the New Hill community over the water treatment facility, the lawsuit against Beverly Rubin and the impact to her property, the lawsuit with developers on impact fees. And I said, hey, in these closed sessions, what happens? Help me understand. And basically, I've been told by multiple former council members that the conversation is, hey, you get advised and you take the information, the best that you have, and you make decisions accordingly. And then I asked the question, well, now that time has passed, and you can look back on the lawsuit that the New Hill community had, how they delayed construction of the wastewater facility for 5 years, how they were able to get $500,000 for the community center, how they were able to get domes put over the sewage ponds. I said, do you feel like you were given enough information to avoid a 5-year delay? And of course the answer was no. You posed the same question on the Beverly Rubin case to say, hey, you sat in closed session, you made a decision to do eminent domain on her property. 9 years later, the town is still in litigation. If you had known that you were still going to be in litigation 9 years later, would you have made the same decision? Or would you maybe have tried to do something to have a different outcome, maybe shorten the length of time, something? And the answer is, of course, yes. You have the same question about the impact fees that were charged to developers. Hey, if you had known that you didn't have the authority from the General Assembly and that you needed to go do these certain steps with the General Assembly, would you have made a different decision? And each time, the answer is yes. So I lay this out in painful detail is because we know, the property owners know, that there are things that you don't understand. and we don't know how to engage with you. We get this 3-minute or 9-minute monologue, but we never really get to have a conversation. So how do we effectively work through tough problems if you won't engage? We're not the ones filing the lawsuit here. It is the town that's filing the lawsuit. And we will respond because we have our constitutional rights to be able to respond. But we have opportunity, even now, to continue to work through alternatives. So we in the community have worked with Duke Energy and NCDOT. We have gotten concessions. We have moved the needle without your help, and we need more help. There are more things that can be achieved. So the town in February did start having some of those conversations because we opened the door, and our understanding is got a yes, but yes with constraints that it may not be, as attractive as initially understood. So we are going back to DOT and Duke Energy to have more conversation. Our ask is to figure out, how do we have a conversation with you as a part of it? Do you need to bring an attorney with you? How do we move this to where we're working with each other? Because there are things that you don't know, and you're going to make decisions in closed session without having all the facts. We don't want to be 9 years down the road fighting at all. But we've come 2 years in this effort to say, hey, let's have a dialogue, and we're still not able to have a dialogue. And so while I appreciate the mayor's comments in the beginning that we are united as a community and we want to work together, I see that with the different proclamations and different groups, every group but us. So the ask is, what do we need to do? What do we need to do differently? How do we make the ask in order to have conversations to figure out how we minimize the impact? Because it is good for the community. It's good for you. It's good for us. Litigation is only good for attorneys. But you're not giving us a choice. So I have a list of a couple of things to share with you guys, because we can't go through all the things that you should and need to consider. Here's a short list of some things that we would like for you to ask during these closed sessions. But we would really like for you to have a conversation, one at a time if need be. Don't we deserve it? And don't the taxpayers of Apex deserve to know that you've done everything in your power as an individual leader to have a better outcome for the community? It's a simple ask. I understand it's hard. Some of these conversations are really hard, but how do you get through it unless you have the conversation? So, apologize for not dropping this off to the town clerk, but please review this and please consider having conversation with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Stett. Dawn Cozzolino.
Good evening, Town Council and Mayor. I was very moved by Elizabeth's discussion. I think we are trying to open the doors and very committed. We work very hard to partner up. We have a lot of great ideas, a lot of creativity in our environment, and we care about our community. So I just want to echo, because it is our futures, very important. So I want to thank the planning department. So we had Jenna, Diane, and Amanda. We had a couple of Zoom calls about our New Hill Friendship Historic Overlay District. And it was really a great partnership. So really appreciate the time that the staff spent with us to understand the concepts in the document and want to be engaged to prepare it to put out there for public input. We were very pleased with that partnership. We had the due date last week that everything was submitted, And we're looking forward to that coming before the planning board shortly. In between that, there is a draft that's going to be rewritten, and we're just asking for a little bit more time. And the reason we're asking for a little bit more time before that September 9th board date, planning board date, is because it gives us very little time, less than 2 weeks, to look at the material. And we all work full-time, we're very, very busy, everybody has personal commitments, and we want to make sure that all the data is complete. And I'll echo the points of what you heard already, is that sometimes these decisions are made without complete data. And an example I'll give you is the traffic study, or the accident studies that were done for our study area did not include secondary roads that are not managed by Apex. They're managed by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. And that would be, not everybody reports accidents, you hope they do, but that would be reported by Wake County Sheriff and the U.S. Highway Patrol, North Carolina Highway Patrol. And so those entities' data inputs are not getting into the system, into Apex's data, which is really important because it kind of gives you a little snippet of really the big picture. So in order to ensure, some of those really important points, because traffic is dangerous, it's getting more congested, we need really good data to support a good decision. So we want to make sure that we have allotted the time to do that. So I'd just like to ask for a little bit more time so that we can gather that data, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cozzolino. Beth Bland. Good evening.
Beth Bland, 3724 Friendship Road. I'm not going to talk real long tonight. I've been on a plane for way too long, so not a lot of sleep. But I really felt it was important to be here tonight. Just very quickly, the Friendship Road signalization, I hope that's pretty much a non-problem for you to approve. It's so needed. All the development going on Old US 1, on Woods Creek, and then you have Friendship Innovation Park, and none of it's done. And they're all using Friendship Road. And it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. It's really needed. So that's that part. The other part, the force main. So Elizabeth went over that pretty well tonight, but I wanted to bring up our property specifically because we did have the surveyor, we asked the town, the surveyor came out and marked our property for where the force main is going to go through. And even though we were told our buffer would not be impacted, that's not true. So part of it's going to come down and expose us to US 1. So when I talked with Mike Deaton, and we still have to get back with him, we've been gone for 3 weeks, so he did reach out, we're going to go back with him. But after we had it marked, Mike came out, Steve came out, and the appraiser came back out to look at it just to make sure they had all the information. And when I went back at Mike with email concerning that it's not drawn and we were promised our buffer would not be touched, his response back to me was, oh, well, they were just trying to protect more of your trees. So the threat was, oh, okay, well, if you don't let us take your buffer, we're going to take more of your trees. So there's already 70-some trees coming down on our property alone. We only have 5 acres. And there is a solution to that. They can put a bend so that it doesn't affect any more trees. So that's one of the conversations I'll be having with him. But I just wanted you to understand that Elizabeth is correct, that you don't have all the information. And it is possible to move it to the south side. So I'm asking for all of your support in trying to move it to the south side. And for all the reasons that have been presented already. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bland. And thank all of you who took the time tonight to come out and present comments. You are heard, so thank you so much. We move now into public hearings. We'll start with public hearing 1, Apex Transportation Plan Amendments, Middle Creek Greenway. presented tonight by Angela Rinke, Parks Planning Manager. Good evening.
Good evening. All right, Mayor, members of the council, tonight's public hearing is to consider amendments to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Systems Plan related to the Middle Creek Greenway Corridor. The Middle Creek Greenway Corridor is part of the Great Trail State Plan and is a critical link in connectivity for Southwest Wake County between the town of Apex and the towns of Holly Spring and Cary. In 2023, NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division awarded the town funds for a feasibility study and hired VHB to evaluate 3 trail alignments of the portion north of Jesse Drive ending at 1010 Road. This study area is mostly developed industrial property in the town and also includes Lufkin Road Middle School. The recommendations of the feasibility study are the product of a robust public engagement effort, which included steering committee meetings, focus groups with individuals like local bicycle shop owners and identified bicycle and pedestrian walking groups, notices to existing businesses, meeting with the principal at Lufkin Road Middle School, hosting a booth at town events, and door-to-door stops at the businesses within that industrial area. This exhibit shows the western and gray outline, which is the current proposed Middle Creek Greenway route. It starts at 1010 Road and runs along the south side of Lufkin Road, the east side of Classic Road to Burma Drive, and then heads south along the west side of Burma Drive and heads east along the south side of Pristine Water to Production Drive. Our first recommendation is to remove the current designation of the route from the western alignment and designate the Middle Creek Greenway Corridor to follow Production Drive, Reliance Avenue, and 1010 Road. Understand that this designation does not show the trail type to be Greenway on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Systems Plan map. This simply means that once constructed as side path, this route would be designated on maps and signed as the Middle Creek Greenway. It's consistent with how it is today for type of trail. Are there any questions about this first proposed amendment?
So what's the motivation?
The motivation was to look at the connection of that corridor to achieve completion from Jesse Drive to 1010 Road.
Well, I mean the motivation to move it from a route that goes by the middle school over to the eastern path.
So part of it is impacts of the type of traffic and use on some of the roads. Like Pristine Water has a concrete crushing facility that runs heavy-duty equipment daily. There's a creek there, so there was concern about the narrowness of the road and the proximity to those types of uses. We'll show you in the other amendments that tie to this how we're providing connectivity to the school as well as to our overall connectivity plan. So this first one is just to show the choice of alignment. All right, so this includes 6 amendments. The following lists are being proposed to implement the recommendation of that green alignment for the Middle Creek Greenway Corridor and to align the bicycle and pedestrian system facilities on the bicycle and pedestrian system map so that they're consistent with that plan. The first is, and I'll kind of try to show you on the map, is to remove proposed side path from the south side of Classic Road from Lufkin Road to a proposed Greenway corridor which connects west to Highway 55. So it's removing this segment here on the south side of Classic between Lufkin Road and this proposed corridor of Greenway. The second is adding proposed side path on the north side of Classic Road from Reliance Avenue to proposed Greenway, which connects west to Highway 55. So it's proposed adding the green side path along the north side of Classic to this point. There was already side path that runs along the border of Lufkin Road Middle School. So that would provide that connection to the school. The third is adding proposed side path along the west side of Reliance Avenue from 1010 Road to Classic Road. So that's this here from 1010 Road on the west side of Reliance down to Classic. And then the next is designating a proposed side path to be on the west side of Reliance Road, south of Classic Road to the intersection with Production Drive. So in this case, our previous maps just showed a line in the center of Reliance Avenue, and so based on the study, we're designating it to be on the west side. The fifth recommendation is reclassification of proposed greenway to proposed side path and extending proposed side path to Reliance Avenue along 1010 Road. So that's changing the designation in this area. Since we're not coming from Lufkin Road, we would be changing designation, removing that crossing, and having that side path remain on one section of that. And then the sixth is removing the street crossing proposed at Meridian Point Road and relocating the trail crossing to be at the signalized intersection of Reliance Avenue and 1010 Road. So that's simply, before it was coming from Lufkin along 1010 to Meridian Point, and now since we're coming up Reliance, it'll be at that intersection and then following the side path on the north and east side of 1010 Road. These amendments were presented to the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Advisory Commission at their May 28th meeting and were unanimously recommended for approval. These amendments were also presented at the July 9th Planning Board meeting and were unanimously recommended for approval. Planning staff, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources staff, and Transportation, Infrastructure, and Development staff have reviewed and are recommending approval of these amendments. And Jenna Souse, Senior Long Range Planner, and I are available for any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions?
I do have a question. So regarding the first recommendation, removing of the proposed side path on the southwestern side of Classic Road, there does seem to be a connection to a greenway or proposed greenway right in the where you're hovering there. So that implies that now we'll be looking at a road crossing to get there. So wouldn't it be better to leave the proposed side path as is?
Well, so this is already developed property, and there's side path to there.
But only on one side.
So yes, there would be side path on the north side. The reason we took it from the south side was partly because of the existing project that's here. It wasn't as visible in the study to see how they would utilize that side of the trail if it were there. And I don't remember, Jenna, if there's sidewalk that would be on that side? Yeah. If there's not side path, there would be sidewalk that would be here.
So there will be a sidewalk.
There would be sidewalk. We're just taking the designation of it being a 10-foot side path.
Okay, so just to be clear, there will be a sidewalk. We're just not, we're backing off of the recommendation of a 10-foot side path.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you so much. All right, we'll open up public hearing for comment for this item. No one is signed up to speak. Public hearing for comment is closed. It's back to council for discussion leading to motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve, Zegerman.
I'll second it.
Second, Killingsworth. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. We move now to public hearing 2, Unified Development Ordinance amendments, and presented tonight by Amanda Bunce, current planning manager.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we have a series of amendments, fairly straightforward. I'll pause after each one to see if you have any questions. So the first amendment is to the Board of Adjustment section in order to update language related to participation by alternates. And it's just to make it clear that alternate members are encouraged to attend all meetings of the Board of Adjustment, but shall only participate in the hearing, deliberating, and deciding a case when acting in the place of a regular member. So it's just making clear in the text the current practice. Any questions on that amendment? The second amendment is to the Planning Board, Board of Adjustment, Transit Advisory Committee, and Housing Advisory Board sections in order to add clarity to voting requirements to state that all regular members shall vote on any issue unless they have been disqualified per the conflict of, if they have a conflict of interest, then and don't have to vote. And then for the Board of Adjustment section, alternate members are voting, must vote on any issue for which they are seated in place of a regular member. So basically they're not abstaining from any vote, they have to make a vote one way or another. Okay. Amendment 3 is to the procedures section of the appeals section in order to change the vote needed to reverse a contested decision from a 4/5 majority to a simple majority per state law. That was an update that was made a couple years ago, and it was just one last change to make from the big series of amendments we made in 2021. And finally, this last amendment is to the bulk measurement and requirements section. If you recall back a few months ago, we made sections to Article 6 with the built upon area stormwater rules to update to be consistent with changes to state law. And there was one section that we discovered is still referencing the term built upon area. That definition has been updated, so instead of having the definition in multiple places, we're just simply adding a reference to the definition section here. And that is all of the amendments before you today. The Planning Board heard these at their July meeting and recommended approval unanimously. Happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions? Hearing none, all right. We'll open up public hearing for this item. No one has signed up to speak. Public hearing for comment is closed. Back to council for possible motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Gray, second, Mahaffey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed unanimously. And we move now to the added closed session. Can I have a motion to go into closed session to consult with attorney?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second. Phillips, Mahaffey, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous. We're going into closed session, and there is still more business, so we'll be back. Ready? Okay. All right, we're back in session. We'll pick up new business one, construction contract award, ST Wood Corporation, Apex Peakway Southwest Connector, presented tonight by Russell Dalton.
Show of hands. Who doubted we would ever make it to this point in this project?
I didn't.
I knew I'd get one.
No doubt.
I've been telling people it's 3 months away for 2 years. Never doubted.
Yeah, we usually put these on consent, but we thought, given the magnitude of this project, the time invested, we talk about it one more time. So Russell Dalton gets 100% of the credit getting us to this point. So he's going to touch on the project overview and funding, and then we'll take a look at the bid results and recommendations and next steps.
You were just the opening act?
I'll close. I'm the closer.
All right.
Yeah, I won't take 100% of the credit. There was quite a few staff members across the entire town, quite a few agencies involved in this project, so it's been a long process. But to remind you of what we're looking at, so currently the Apex Peakway intersects South Salem Street west of NC 55 at a T intersection, stop-controlled intersection. Looking across, you'll see trees, and on the other side of that is a railroad track. So there's a big gap there. On the other side, as part of the Salem Village project, they completed the Peakway up to the extension of James Street, and that's where it ends. So going through the reasons for this project completes the last remaining gap on the west side of the Apex Peakway. So it's very important for connectivity in that area and also bridges the S-line corridor of CSX. This project achieves what's required for that connectivity, which is a grade separation. That is in our master agreement. That's a master agreement between CSX, NCDOT, and the town of Apex. This project also provides a new route for traffic that is going to be needed prior to the closure of the Tension Road crossing. So once this project's open to traffic as part of that corridor master agreement, the Tension Road rail grade crossing will be closed. This also connects a 4-lane loop with traffic signals to get people from Salem Street up to the Peakway, given the grade of the project. The project also satisfies the traffic demand, but minimizes the footprint required to provide a grade separation. And finally, the project incorporates aesthetic enhancements to blend with the character of Apex. So here is one of the design renderings. It's a view of the 4-lane loop connecting from Salem Street up to the bridge over the railroad in Salem Street. Here's another view looking eastbound along Salem Street. And here's another view from Barrow Nook Court. This is in the southwest quadrant looking up, and you can see in this rendering the cantilever sidewalk, so the wall has actually been pushed inward to reduce the footprint. And then finally a view from Salem Street looking up at the decorative railing that we've proposed for the project. So this gives you a little bit better idea of the final aesthetic elements of the project. So we started out in 2015 with a transportation bond. That was funding for design, permitting, and utility relocation, as well as right-of-way acquisition. We went through the process of feasibility study and preliminary design and found out we needed more money. So as part of that effort to get more money, it was included in a portion of the 2021 Streets and Sidewalks bond. So those additional funds provided what we needed for construction. And that included the construction agreement with CSX Railroad, town utility work, and the construction management and inspections required for the project. We originally started out with a federal funding of $2.5 million. Because of the additional funds needed, we got an additional $10 million. So that is a total of $12.5 million in federal funds toward the project. This is a budget breakdown starting with design phase. You'll see we're a little over $1.5 million in design, a little over $1.3 million in property acquisition, a little over $1.4 million for railroad and utility work. We've got the construction bid with 10% contingency, and the inspections required for the project is a little over $25 million. And the estimate of the NCDOT management fees is around a little over $600,000. So the total project, beginning to end, is a little over $30 million. Our federal reimbursement is expected at $12.5 million, so that leaves a remaining cost to Apex of about $17.5 million for the project in local funds.
So now the easy part, we just build it. So here's a look at the breakdown of the bids, and we really could not have asked for better competition, the pricing, and in particular the quality of the contractors that we got. A look at the base bid versus the alternate. So the alternate incorporates between 20 and 25% of the earthwork. The off-site borrow excavation needed is being pulled from Pleasant Park, an existing stockpile that the town needs to get rid of. We hope, given the proximity to the project, we'd see a savings. We did. There's also the extreme cost had we had to waste that material ourselves. So there was also a disadvantaged business enterprise goal of 10%. All bidders met that. So recommendation is to award that alternate bid to ST Wooten. This is contingent on NCDOT concurrence. That's standard for all lap projects, and authorize the town manager to execute. So next steps, we'll submit that request for concurrence to DOT. We'll get the contract executed. We have a pending additional funding request, Campo, to go through. We also have in for review with DOT, RK&K. We've got an existing contract. They're covering the inspections and the materials testing on the project. We have added utility relocation coordination work to that. So we are looking at a 3-year construction time frame. We hope to get started this fall. And Russell will touch on traffic calming associated with the project.
So some years back, during the coordination with the adjacent neighbors, there was a concern about during the period where the Peakway is going to have to be closed north of Salem Street, that there could be some cut-through traffic in the neighborhoods. So we identified a couple streets where we think there could be an increase in traffic, could be an increase in speeds. The council at that time advised that during construction, if we observe an increase in traffic, something that requires traffic calming, that we would implement traffic calming devices. We've gone ahead and preemptively reached out to the neighborhoods to provide a plan to them, so the HOAs can go ahead and provide us input as to whether or not they are interested in the town implementing those temporary traffic calming measures. So we could potentially go ahead and do that at the start of construction rather than waiting to survey the traffic later. It just helps us get mobilized earlier to offset that potential impact. So this is concerning traffic that would be potentially on Grappenhall Drive and Applethorn Drive. There are 7 total locations for where we would propose these temporary speed hump devices. We have met with representatives from both Whitehall Manor and Whitehall Village HOAs, and we're waiting on the HOA approval before we can proceed with bidding of those devices. So we did get feedback from one of the HOAs, and we haven't gotten that are in favor of it. We're still waiting on the other HOA, and we'll reach back out to them. So this gives you an idea of where those locations are, and this information was provided to the HOA. So this is the north end of Grappenhall Drive, west of the Peakway. This first speed hump is about 560 feet west of the tie-in of Grappenhall Drive at Apex Peakway. There's another one about 590 feet further west of that, and then another 650 feet south of that. You've got another one on Grappenhall Drive. There are a couple on Applethorn Drive you can see in the picture, about 530 feet apart. And there's another one down on another one further south on Applethorn, and then further south along Grappenhall before you get to Salem Street, and that's about 390 feet north of Salem Street. So that concludes, if there are any questions.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Adam. You did say 2026 completion date, right? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I just had a question about the potential construction noise. I mean, is there going to be any nighttime work, or would you not know that at this point?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to to coordinate with the contractor, find out what their schedule is, what they propose.
All right. I do recall from the bid package that South Salem will be open the whole time, is that right? Or
Yes.
during the day? So, although obviously the Peakway is gonna be closed off at some point, but South Salem itself will be accessible north and south of the site.
There are lane closure restrictions, peak hour, but yeah, it'll remain open.
Okay, so they could close it overnight if they're working overnight.
I don't think there's going to be a need to close South Salem during the project. But yeah, 6 to 9, 4 to 7 would be the restricted hours.
Okay. Other questions?
Glad to see this getting moving.
I am so glad.
Yeah, this will be transformational for the town, and this is so important with the upcoming work on 55. You know, and whenever that happens from DOT, but.
And to
Thank you all
quote
so much.
Councilmember Mahaffey, this is only gonna be, what, 3 months away?
Yeah, it's gonna be done. Almost done. When are we gonna do the groundbreaking?
Yeah, we gotta have a groundbreaking.
Yeah, we got some shovels ready? Yeah?
We
We need a lot of shovels, man.
We'll set something up.
We all get a shovel in here. If you're in this room, you get a shovel. There's 100 shovels.
Can I have my name on the shovel? please?
There you go.
Good work by everyone.
One comment, like to the traffic calming, I'd like to be proactive about that instead of waiting for a problem to happen. So, like, if we can be proactive and get those installed, before traffic picks up, I would prefer that.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
Can I make a motion? Can I make a motion?
I was gonna give it to you.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. I move we award alternative bid to ST Wooten Corporation, the amount of $21,254,463.12, contingent on NCDOT concurrence, and authorize town manager to execute the contract.
Motion by Mahaffey, second Killingsworth.
Can we all second?
Sure.
Let me get my Robert rule book.
Yeah, he deserved that. He was a plan holder. I saw him in the list in the process.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? I didn't think so. All right, motion's approved. Way to go. Excellent. All right, new business 2. Facade grant program discussion, potential changes. Ms. Diane Ken, Planning Director, and Marty Stone, Assistant.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
So we are requesting direction from council on potential changes to the facade grant program in order to bring any proposed amendments back along with a budget amendment on the August 27th agenda. Decision points include facade grant boundaries, program funding limits, individual project funding cap, and eligible improvements. The current boundary, as you may recall from our discussion last October, is currently the same as the Downtown Festival District, as described in the UDO and shown on this map. The facade grant was expanded to this boundary because it was an easily identifiable area that encompassed a larger area of the downtown than the Central Business District, which was the prior facade grant boundary. If the facade grant program is made available to a larger district, the facade grant program area would be need to be determined and shown on a map. So the questions for you tonight are you interested in changing the boundary into a separate facade grant program boundary? Or are you interested in changing it to a town-wide program? Or keeping it as is?
So we're gonna go like one question at a time?
Oh, I don't know. It's, you just keep going? Okay. Is there a lot of feedback? I feel like.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so again, that was the boundary. All right, so program funding limits. The current facade grant program has staff approval. It's first come, first served, and there's a $20,000 total budget. The questions for you all, would the approval possibly be changed to planning board or town council? Would it continue to be first come, first served? And would you like to authorize a higher total program budget? Right now, the individual project funding cap formula is a little bit complicated. It's in the application, but basically there's 2 tiers. The first tier is for things like paint and awnings. It's a maximum of $2,000 or 50% of the cost, whichever is less. Tier 2 is a maximum of $5,000 per facade for structural improvements, including window replacement, brick repair and repointing, door replacement, ADA accessible entrance improvements, and similar structural repairs or replacement, or 50% of the cost, whichever's less. And there's a combination that folks can apply of tier 1 and tier 2, but total grants per fiscal year cannot exceed the total budget, and no more than $10,000 can be issued to any one property in a 36-month period. So the questions for you are whether to change the formula to be percentage based on investment with a higher overall cap per project, and whether the investment considered in a cap represent just the exterior improvements or total cost invested in the business. And then finally, the eligible improvements in the current facade grant program are listed here. It includes removal of false fronts, such as aluminum panels, repair replacement of windows, doors, and cornices, repair replacement of facade materials, repair replacement of character-defining architectural features, repair replacement or new ADA accessible entrance, new awnings, decorative exterior lighting, exterior painting, design and construction costs. Potential changes would include additional improvements in the public space on private property, which could include, but is not limited to, creation of patios or other outdoor service areas, outdoor furniture such as tables, chairs, and benches, planters. We would recommend not to include vegetation as it's not permanent, but the planters themselves. Streetscape elements like pavers, brick, or bus stops on private property, and then other downtown plan elements like twinkle lights, ground murals, etc. And so this is sort of like a work session where we just want to have a conversation, so happy to take any notes.
All right, thanks so much. This gave us a lot to consider this evening. How does everyone feel about it? Is this something you're ready to dive into?
I think we probably need a little bit of time to digest through these changes and possibly get a little bit more guidance. I think it's important for us to direct guidance to staff to say that this is something that we want to get a little bit more information on.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? I do like this sound.
Yeah.
You have anything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Councilman Ziegler?
I agree. There's a lot here, including budget questions, and I'd like to get more data from staff before we just start throwing out numbers or changes to a program that I think deserves a little bit more deliberation and consideration.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you bringing this forward because I do think it's the time that we need to start taking a look at this issue overall.
Yeah. Do we want to establish a timeline to bring that back, Mr. Manager? Bossberg?
We originally spoke at bringing something back for your next meeting. So I think it depends on how much research needs to be done and what we need to gather. So what I'm hearing is that we like the concept of an expansion. You just want to kind of mull over some of the details and digest it. And if there's anything else staff can bring forward, we'll bring it at the next meeting.
So the agenda item is due Friday, and I will be working tomorrow, and that is it this week. So I don't think that's realistic. Unless you were to give me direction tonight, I cannot have anything ready for the next meeting. I do have an agenda item on your work session, September 17th, and I would love for this to be the second one. I think that's more realistic if it's possible to do it then.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the boundary of this being expanded to include all the way down to kind of the water tower area, Tension Road, Justice Heights area. So I'm glad that was expanded when we talked about this the last time. So yeah.
Okay. Very well. So the work session on again
September 17th.
Did that work?
We have 3 items on that agenda, so
okay.
just
you prepare for a long one?
Stay a little bit longer than normal.
Okay, very well. You need anything else? We good? Okay. All right, moving on to new business 3 and ODS Highway 1 at Friendship Road and Holland Road improvements, presented tonight by Russell Dalton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm back up here tonight to talk to you about planned and potential improvements at the intersections of Old US 1 and Friendship Road and Holland Road, as well as a potential developer agreement that staff have been discussing. So as you can see, the location we're talking about is west of Pleasant Park. Along Old US 1. It's at the corner of a development known as The Summit, which was a plan unit development rezoning some years back. And here's an aerial view of the intersection. So it's currently an offset intersection. Both Holland Road and Friendship Road are stop controlled. Single lane approaches on Old US 1 as well. Old US 1 is a free flow condition. There's no signalization out there. Currently no turn lanes at this intersection. With the Pleasant Park project, we did have some site plan commitments for improvements at the intersection of Friendship Road and Old US 1. That was tied to the opening of the ball fields, which have not yet been completed, not yet been constructed. That's the phase 3A of the project. We currently anticipate that to occur at the end of 2026. So the two things that were tied to that are the 150-foot westbound left turn lane on Old US 1 and a 100-foot northbound left turn lane on Friendship Road. That was part of the traffic analysis conducted for the project, looking at the potential for off-site impacts, which are primarily due to large events at the park associated with those ball fields. So as part of the, yes sir.
Can you go back one?
Sure.
Are we talking southbound instead of northbound? It's the turn lane on US 1 going onto Friendship Road, right?
Yeah, so the westbound left turn lane and the northbound left turn lane. That's right.
No, we're going south on French. Okay, I think I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, the orientation of the roadway. Yeah. So Old US 1 is like a north-south road, but it's more east-west at that location.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as part of the Summit Plan Unit Development rezoning, there were zoning conditions regarding improvements in this area as well. So the zoning condition for Friendship Road included lengthening the northbound left turn lane by 50 feet. That traffic impact analysis assumed that those improvements were in place. So since that time, since the opening of the ball fields has been delayed, those improvements have not been constructed. Therefore, at this time, they can't lengthen a left turn lane that doesn't exist yet. So that explains the reason for the way that's written. They did have zoning conditions for Holland Road as well, so that included constructing a 75-foot eastbound left turn lane, a 350-foot southbound right turn lane, and also installing a traffic signal when warranted for Holland Road, or if it's not warranted by the 100th platted lot, they would pay a fee in lieu for that traffic signal to be installed by others in the future. There is also an additional commitment for the intersection of Holland Road as a result of NCDOT comments, and that is to construct a 100-foot westbound right turn lane from Old US 1 onto Holland Road. The roadway plans for the Summit residential phase, which is being constructed by Beazer Homes, which is the north end of the plan unit development project, that includes the northbound and westbound left turn lanes at Friendship Road, that would be constructed subject to a funding agreement with the town of Apex. So they include all the improvements what would be for Pleasant Park, and to satisfy their project TA requirements subject to a funding agreement. So in fall of 23, after some complaints came our way about traffic increases in the area that went beyond expectations in our traffic analysis, we went back out and conducted a study, and we did find information that showed a traffic signal was warranted at that location. We conducted traffic counts, conducted observations, and that information was critical to providing input to NCDOT, which is required. Both are state road; these all are state roadways. Before a traffic signal can be installed, you have to make sure that it's warranted and permitted by the Department of Transportation. So in spring of 2024, they agreed to permit a traffic signal. They didn't agree to fund it. Obviously, if you're asking for NCDOT to fund a traffic signal, they have to prioritize that funding, and they don't currently have funding available for that. One thing they did point out is because of that short offset with the intersections, signalizing Friendship Road also requires signalizing Holland Road together due to that close spacing. Your choices are, if you just put a signal at Friendship Road, you would either have to to restrict movements at Holland Road, which wouldn't be very popular because it's currently a full movement intersection, or you'd have to completely realign to a fourth leg. So similar to what we did over at Justice Heights Street and Tingen Road with the offset intersection there, it would be a similar type situation here. So there are currently no developer commitments for the traffic signal at Friendship Road, but as we just discussed, there is a commitment to a traffic signal from the Summit Planned Unit Development. Either they would install one or they would pay a fee in lieu towards signalization. So here you can see an image showing all the improvements with the traffic signal. So in yellow, those are the requirements for the Summit Planned Unit Development. That's part of their zoning. That was analyzed in their traffic impact analysis. In blue, you can see the turn lanes for Pleasant Park, Phase 3A. And for that northbound left turn on Friendship, you can see the dotted yellow, which would be an extension that's required as part of the Summit Planned Unit Development. And then in green, the signalization of Friendship Road is not currently an assigned development requirement, but in yellow, the signalization of Holland is. And as we just discussed, they have to be signalized together. So if someone signalized Holland, they'd have to signalize Friendship, or if you were able to take a fee in lieu for Holland, when you did signalization of Holland, you'd have to signalize Friendship at the same time. Holly Springs has also collected some fee in lieu funds, or will be collecting fee in lieu funds from developments in their jurisdiction. So this was as of spring 2024. Friendship Innovation Park has a zoning condition for $133,000 fee in lieu toward roadway improvements at Friendship Road, not specifically toward traffic signal, but toward actual turn lane improvements. There's another project that's more recent. That's the Goodwin Yield North Phase 1 project that has a zoning condition specifically for $9,220 toward roadway improvements and $8,033 toward a traffic signal at Friendship Road. So it's a smaller fee in lieu, but it's specific, one specific to the turn lanes, one specific to traffic signals. The reason for the odd values is it was based on a percentage of an assumed construction value. So Apex staff have been discussing a possible agreement with Holly Springs to transfer those payments, those fees in lieu, toward us to help with a developer agreement and help toward construction of those as soon as possible. So this provides you an estimated funding breakdown for how a potential developer agreement would work. So currently for Old US 1 Holland Road at the top, you can see there's an unknown cost, or at least that's the developer's full cost of constructing all the roadway improvements over at Holland Road. The second line is the Holland Road traffic signal, which is the $150,000, which is the estimated total cost for that signal. If I think by this agreement, again. So by this, if Apex,
thought we just said that Beazer Homes is responsible for this one.
Oh, on this one, yeah. So in this scenario, sorry, this was our second scenario. I'm just having to gather my bearings here. We looked at it as if the developer does all the roadway improvements and Apex handles the traffic signals and splits it up that way, it makes it a lot easier from a construction and funding standpoint because they have roadway plans that include all those turn lanes. They can do those as their own separate contract, and then if they pay the fee in lieu toward, if they don't, instead of paying the fee in lieu toward the Holland Road traffic signal, Apex would fund that as part of our agreement. So this is the way this funding breaks down. So it's showing $150,000 Apex toward the Holland Road traffic signal. But there's a different, we've compensated with the funding breakdown for the turn lanes and traffic signal we're responsible for. So any questions on this cost breakdown?
Yeah, so what conversations have you had with Holly Springs? You just discussed Beazer. About an agreement with Holly Springs where you've mentioned a few times where they would give us the money and we would help fund all these improvements. Have those conversations happened, or are they still to happen? Are they amenable to that? Is that still a hurdle, or is that in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, they're open to that. We've had those discussions. Yeah.
I was just going to echo that. I even had a conversation this past weekend with their manager, Mr. Harrington, and they're open to it. We told them this was kind of the next step, and if council was on board, then we would engage them on what that looks like and working with the developer. And the developer has already been in discussions with moving up their time frame, and everyone seems to be on board with it at this point.
The developer in Holly Springs for writing the check?
Yes.
Okay. So there's two things. There's a bunch of turn lanes and then there's a traffic signal. I guess what's most important to ask tonight is, like, what are the dates? Like, I've heard about these turning lanes coming for a while now, 3 months out for the past 2 years. What's the current status of that project starting? And then when can we expect to see the traffic signal completed?
So the plans for the residential phase of the Summit PUD, which includes the turn lanes, is they're in signature set now. So they would anticipate starting construction this fall, based on the last conversation I had with them. So roadway improvements could happen early next year. So it makes the agreement timely as far as their construction schedule.
So they would, and that would be all the turning lanes?
Correct.
Holland and on Friendship?
Yes.
They would do it as one project and just come out?
Correct. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah, so we would have, according to the funding table, we would have a cost share as part of that, and then we could
like a true up to see. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the traffic signal? What's a realistic timeline for getting the traffic signal operational?
So typically with a traffic signal, from the time you start design until installation, you're talking at least 12 to 18 months. So if we start this fall, you're looking at probably end of 25, early 26 before you would expect this traffic signal to become operational. So it should come online around the time they're completing roadway improvements, if not a little bit after. And it could go a little bit faster. It really depends on what you run into. I mean, we proposed a basic wood pole span wire traffic signal. So there's not a huge lead time on materials, but anytime you're dealing with it, we have to go through a design process. We have to make sure we have easements and right-of-way available for the equipment. There could be some utilities out there that we have to coordinate with, so there's a lot of variables in terms of installation.
Is there any assistance needed with DOT from us?
No, they've agreed to permit the traffic signal. So as soon as we get that funded, we would enter into a design agreement with them. That's basically a deposit, an agreement to say that, to give them the ability to review the signal plans that we would submit. We'd have to hire a consultant to design those for us.
Is the next step then for us to finalize these agreements? What's the next step that we have to do to move it along?
Yes, we have a developer agreement that we would have to execute. That's correct.
Okay.
So basically, next step is yes, move forward.
That's the question.
I have one other question. I mean, yeah, this is great. We definitely want to do this. But one thing you said earlier was about the alternative here being a realignment. I think our streetway plan calls for a realignment here at Holland Road. Would you agree that's safer or faster or cheaper? More desirable?
It's definitely not faster or cheaper to realign the roads. And a big part of it is you're involving properties that currently are not involved in development plans. So there are significant impacts. There's a house on that northeast corner. So depending on how you realign, you're really close to or acquiring that house. There's a significant cost in realignment as well. So you're talking about a multi-year project for design and construction, and right now we do have a development plan, as I said, in signature set that includes all the turn lanes, that accommodates the offset intersection as it is today. So it makes it a lot easier for us to come in to work with them to fund that and come in behind it with a traffic signal plan that accommodates that offset.
And so just to, so the signalization is not 100% dependent on the turn lanes being there, is that correct? So we can do both projects effectively simultaneously. We're not waiting for one thing to end before the other one picks up.
Correct. We can design the traffic signal concurrent with them moving forward with the turn lanes, because they would just take that existing roadway plan and they would create a new pavement marking plan and signal plan on top of that.
I think I know the answer, but where are we with easements for all this? Is the answer nowhere at all? We just need to acquire all the easements for both the turning lanes and also the poles.
The developer, my understanding is the developer is either acquired or having not run into issues acquiring the necessary right-of-way and easements for the roadway.
Or Highland and Friendship?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Until we have the traffic signal designed, we won't know if there might be additional easements that are necessary. So once we have that information, we can investigate that. That's one thing that may extend the clock when you're trying to build a traffic signal. We encountered the same thing. We took a fee in lieu for the traffic signal down at Old US 1 at New Hill Holloman Road. So that was a developer fee in lieu paid to the town. We used that fee in lieu for a capital project, and we had to acquire property on all four corners at that intersection.
So if we already have the easements and we're going with the, pretty straightforward, simple signal design, can we do something intermittently where we signal the existing roadways while the turning lanes are being built?
Even moving as fast as we possibly could on signal design, since we don't yet have a signal agreement with the DOT, we don't yet have a consultant secured, we haven't started signal design, we would still not have a signal plan ready until those turn lanes are either significantly completed or completed.
Just trying to figure out if there's a way we can accelerate at least one or the other, right? And then have some relief
Yeah,
for the residents.
I know what you're saying.
While the other,
part of the issue there too is if you signalize it without the turn lanes, you run into other capacity issues because of the turning traffic. So you're going to end up with a lot more. It may or may not be safer. It will definitely cause a lot more congestion if you signalize it without the turn lanes being in place with an interim
I think
plan.
the residents would argue there's already a lot of congestion. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it'd be a lot of congestion on Friendship and on Old US 1 versus today, compared to today. But yeah.
Any other questions? So again, what Councilwoman Killingsworth said, you just need direction. Press go, accelerate it, let's do it, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why we should wait to do this project. I mean, I get the idea of, maybe changing the roadway, to maybe improve the a signalized interchange, but I mean, that's just prolonging a problem that may not even solve the problem. I like attacking this now. I'm in favor.
Okay.
Go. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay. And I just want to thank all the community members who have, presented information. I know some went to the town of Holly Springs, spoke during their public meetings to make sure this stayed as a priority for neighboring, towns. So very appreciative of that. And if you can keep us updated, that would be really, really helpful. So we can let the residents know. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we move now to updates by town manager.
All right, thank you, Mayor. First, want to start with saying I'm happy to be the town manager that brought you the Peakway Bridge.
Livers.
And the Friendship Signal, and no, I'm kidding.
The job. He's getting it.
No. Credit to staff, Just
That
joking.
evaluation is going to be real.
Evaluation's coming. I do want to take a few minutes and introduce, as you are aware, we have started our process in the recruitment of our new police chief. So I wanted to take this opportunity to invite up our consultant, Mr. Charles Kimball. He goes by Chuck. I'm going to have him kind of talk to you a little bit about him and his company and our process that we are going through.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Charles Kimball, Senior Vice President for Executive Recruiting for Strategic Government Resources, commonly referred to as SGR in the field. Glad to be on ground here. Got here Sunday, started early Monday morning. Met with the senior staff and got a briefing on what's going on for the police chief process. We talked about processes. We talked about what it's going to look like, the timeline, and had a series of meetings with police department staff. Those are ongoing. Just had one at 4:30, 5 o'clock today, then ran over here for the meeting. So you have a great police department, right? And they are energetic. They know transition is coming. They were open and honest about the qualities and the characteristics of the new police chief. So we're going to jump right back on those meetings again tomorrow. I think we have a meeting with community members that's going to open up a different viewpoint of what the police chief, what that should look like. So we're going to go tomorrow morning. We're going to go again till tomorrow evening. I'll go back home. I'll type up some notes, and then we're going to work on a brochure that's going to go out throughout the country. I have SGR probably has about 8,000 targeted emails and social media posts that's going to go out to police chiefs around the country. On our LinkedIn page, we're going to go, it should reach about 40,000 people, along with the personal contacts that I have of being a police chief for 32 years, 26 of them here in the state of North Carolina, as the assistant police chief in Fayetteville, police chief at Fayetteville State University, and the police chief in Spring Lake. Currently, I am the interim police chief, small town called Pilot Point, Texas, and then I retired from the Killeen Police Department in Texas. So I have this military nexus that my wife and I have, me and the family. So this is a highly anticipated posting. I've had several informal contacts with people, so they're waiting, right? Your chief has a great reputation among police chiefs. I believe he's at the conference now speaking about the future of policing. So that those informal networks and things are being built right now. So we are looking forward to that, to those that are going to apply. We are on about a 12-week timeline that's already started. So we hope to have someone identified in somewhere in the next 10 to 12 weeks. So that's the process in a very short version. Again, on the process, as those applications and resumes come in a few weeks, I'll take them. I'll divide them into different groups, into highly qualified, qualified, and not qualified. I'll take those. I anticipate there'll be 60 to 70 applications. I'll take those applications. I'll put them into a category. I'll work with the city management, and we'll get those to semifinalists. We'll evaluate the semifinalists based on some written assessments, a video assessment, and then we'll turn those into finalists. Generally, we have 5 finalists for the position. Then I will bring those 5 finalists back to town. I'll come back with them, and I'll work with the town manager on what that looks like when we get here. Usually, there's a meet and greet, there's meeting community groups, there's meeting civic leaders, of course, meeting members of the police department, and then through those assessments, then we will identify a finalist. So that's it in a very condensed version. We still have to work out some of the details, and we'll work on those details once I get back and I take my notes, and then I gather a candidate profile to make the brochure. So that's it in a very condensed version, sir. And I'll gladly stand for any questions you have.
I noticed that you talked about the nationwide scope of the search, but you're also going to be looking internally as well.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's eligible to apply. We encourage internal candidates to apply. They have knowledge of the organization, but at the end of the day, my job is to bring the person for the best fit for the organization right now. And if that's an internal candidate, that's an added bonus.
Right. Good update. Thank you very much, Mr. Kimball.
Great. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. You good? All right. And noted on your accomplishments too. All right, we'll move now to, is there a motion to go into closed session for those items?
So moved.
All right, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, move into closed session. Thank you.
Yes. I was just telling them, I was like, the first meeting last year, I had like 40 consent items, and like 8 public hearings. I mean, to be out a month and to be out before now, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you have for the Windy City?
Saturday morning.
What's that?
Are you taking, are you taking the family, or are you just going yourself?
I'll just make
We're back live. Back to session. Is there any other business? All right. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much. All right, good job, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
All right, good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.